When last we left our intrepid adventurers, we had returned to our home base at the Temple of Freedom with our loot.
Oh, it's like you're superheroes.
Somehow the Temple of Freedom has become their base, which I never would have expected.
Yeah.
And the Temple of Freedom, that's the SS headquarters.
I'm going to hang lovely floral tapestries over all the skull bas-reliefs everywhere.
You can hide like the human skin blinds.
Given that it's the Empire of Endless Flowers, it's probably the other way around. Everything is floral motifs, and now I have to hang skull tapestries to try and tone that down or something.
Everyone in this world it views flowers like skulls. They're like, oh, death, flowers.
Are we the baddies? We have flowers on our hats. Actually, that used to be the case, but I rewrote fixed that timeline, so now it's fine.
I mean, thinking about it, after World War II, surely they used, Hitler's headquarters were just like government buildings in Germany, so they probably just took down the Nazi crap and put up new stuff. And now
but I imagine like flowers were probably viewed like swastikas before Cricket rewrote.
There's probably a stylized flower symbol.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'm imagining the poppy now. It's like
it is a symbol of war.
Yeah.
We're back in the present, and we take a little time to sort through our loot. We discover that talisman that we got that was hidden inside a book, which was made of flammable materials, so it was all right. It was a magic item that lets you disguise things as other things completely undetectably, and it had been used on the Eye of Quizquion to disguise it as a rock claw.
Yes.
Which
they turned it into the claw of Quizquion.
Yeah.
So you have to take your own claw off and put another claw on.
Yeah. And so we did a little bit of scrying and stuff now that we're in the present day to see if we could find where the Eye of Quizquion was now that we know what it looks like.
Yeah.
We're
Who knows if there's a head of Quizquion where you can cut your head off and
we are literally the only people in existence that know where the Eye of Quizquion is and what it looks like. And sure enough, it's been passed down from Brock to Brock over the years, and the Brock leader still has this claw that's the disguised Eye of Quizquion. So at some point, not right now because we have more important things to do, we're gonna pop into the Brock HQ and pop him on the beak and take his claw
and fix the rock.
I don't know. We actually have no freaking clue what the Eye of Quizquion is for, but it must be valuable.
But they want it.
Yes.
It's so shiny.
The party saw it, therefore it is the party.
We've spent this whole campaign just running around goody two-shoesing and skipping out on the giant loot opportunities. We're gonna get the Eye of Quizquion.
We just had this one thing.
Yeah. We're gonna take it.
And want this opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. You basically now own the Empire of Endless Flowers. So
but no, it owns me.
Owns
yeah.
Technically.
That's the deal.
What happens if the Empire votes for pain slavery?
Then I will destroy it.
That was the one.
It's an override.
Right.
It's the priority override.
They own it. They can do anything that they want.
Basically, a vote for pain slavery is a vote for self-death.
Fortunately,
I vote to be executed.
Fortunately, I'm very good at manipulating them by now, so I will make sure that they never vote that way.
So essentially, you would remove their free will.
In their own self-interest.
Within important parameters, yes. Certain key parameters. But anyway, we'll get to that stuff later. Assuming the Empire survives the next little bit, because there's a thing coming up. Should I talk about what ritual I picked first? Because we did that first before we got into it.
Sure.
Okay.
I want to hear the other people's rituals as well.
No one else did it.
Aww.
Yeah, it's like I'm the only one taking this thing seriously. So yeah. Oh, there's some stuff. Oh, it's not for us. Okay.
So it's weird. It's like they stabbed that burger with a knife and stabbed an onion ring into it.
So, there's a first level ritual called Unseen Servant. I wanted a permanent version of that.
I certainly should have gone with my suggestion.
What was that?
I still think you could have gone for my suggestion, which is a permanent ritual that rains fire down on anyone who rebels against you. As long as you don't rebel, nothing bad happens.
No,
Okay, so what's the rest of the story? What is the nefarious purpose behind this perfectly benign nefarious purpose?
It's actually really great because Brian sent me the text of it.
Yeah, unfortunately my phone's not working. John.
I can show it to you.
Okay, you'll get the
It's
text.
fantastic.
So I wrote up the description of the ritual, and John will read it verbatim once he gets
Well, you can read it if you want, unless you want me
my
to.
phone isn't working. So.
I'll hand you my phone, unless
Okay.
you would rather I read it.
No, I can read it. So yeah, basically, I'm still looking at ways of how to improve the empire and dial back this whole slavery thing a little bit, and just generally, fix things.
Because the whole like soulless part of the
I wrecked that. I unfortunately was unable to make proper domestics. They have souls now, so I drastically.
It doesn't word wrap, so you're gonna have to scroll over. It's pretty crappy.
Okay.
Turn on the screen rotate. It usually is here.
My screen
Can I get it
doesn't.
a little bit longer? No? Okay. Okay. You conjure a medium unseen servant of invisible force. It obeys your commands, moves at your speed, and can lift 100 pounds, and performs basic functions and repetitive tasks such as cleaning, making camp, and moving, holding, and carrying objects. An unseen servant never tires. It cannot move more than 20 squares from your space. It does not occupy any space and cannot attack or be attacked. Unseen servants are guaranteed to be absolutely 100% soul-free and rebellion-proof. They do not have souls. They are not sapient or free-willed spirits that have been bound to serve, nor are they secretly a fragment of the soul of the user torn from their body, or a ghost pulled from the afterlife, or some sort of time echo borrowing labor from the future of the user. They do not have feelings or emotions or desires of their own. They do not feel pain or boredom or any other negative sensations. They are non-sapient magical force that responds to commands as an automaton would without a soul. They do not register as abominations or as evil in any form of detection. Focus, a tiny ceramic hand. The person who holds this focus is empowered to command the unseen servant summoned with it. A person can hold and command up to their int, wisdom, or charisma score cluster level in unseen servants. Any further servants beyond this limit do not rebel or go berserk or seek their freedom in any form. They just remain idle.
So you're creating new domestics.
Sort of.
They are more automatons. When I've been figuring out the cost, I've been likening it more to like the invention of the internal combustion engine and how it like revolutionized.
I'm waiting for the novels Unseen Servant.
Yeah, I was saying like, oh boy, can we play like world building for the Space Alert campaign, and then I can come in and like wreck this world by like using a world building event.
Do they occupy space?
No.
You just walk through them?
You can just walk through them.
Yeah.
I worked my job on Wednesday, Child Protective Unseen Services. They can carry 100 pounds enough to take children.
Yeah, some of the other editions, they're much weaker. They can only do like 10, 20 pounds. But
There is a magic item you can use in conjunction with the ritual that lets you summon unseen servants that can carry 300 pounds.
You're making a secret police force then.
No, except of course the police will probably have unseen servants.
They can't carry a person.
Two of them can.
yeah.
They can only
And
be
they're
within 20
and
feet
they're
of the
unstoppable.
user.
Who needs to
Cannot be
walk
attacked.
20
squares.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Just a bunch of weird
Palanquins. A bunch of palanquins. Or as
Invisible palanquins.
As Shannon pointed out, the lower class that can only afford one unseen servant, they'll have rickshaws.
Right.
The richer people that have
Or they'll have
two
like little
or more.
backpacks.
Yeah. The ones that have
Well, I think Brian's
probably
goal is that
wheels.
even a peasant can afford one unseen servant.
yeah, which is John has ruined currently.
Yeah.
He cranked the price up to like 2,000 gold pieces for one of these things, which is a lot.
It'll last forever.
It does.
Add a subsidy.
I don't want to subsidize it because the Temple of Freedom is probably running out of money at this point. We've been giving away the domestics this whole time. Exchange for the pain slaves.
I negotiated with Brian that after 20 years of like investing and finding cheaper ways to get the material and it'll come down to a tenth of its price.
Right. The consumer version.
Yeah. So after 20 years, it'll only be $250, which is still like 5 times a laborer's salary, but
A horse costs 75 gold pieces.
but the thing is, they should revolutionize the economy the same way the internal combustion engine. So a peasant, instead of making 1 copper a day, 20 years they might be making 1 gold a day, or 5 gold a day.
It also destroy the labor market.
That's okay.
It's okay. They'll implement UBI.
But it's the same thing. We find new jobs that work with vehicles now.
Yeah.
They'll maintain the unseen.
And if I can make the unseen servants cheap enough for the peasants to buy them, then the peasants can use them to do the labor. There we go.
Was this doing this all along, or did it just start?
Yeah. No, I actually figure that probably the wealthy households and stuff will buy these things and then have their domestics use them.
It just wasn't all the way on.
Because that way they can keep them in continuous operation by having their domestics do all that stuff. So yeah, they're slaves for the slaves.
And the tiny ceramic hands were the hands of a tiny creature?
Yeah.
Right, so a tiny creature was like...
Though again, not literally cutting the hands off of the
Did it say that?
They're ceramic.
They're ceramic hands.
It says that.
Right. So you build a small sentient golem.
No.
Break its hands off.
You cast petrify on a pixie, and then you cut its hands off.
Just you grow them in fields with their
I
hands
see where you're
up,
going with this.
and then you harvest them with a
The
swather.
true evil reveals itself. It's okay, pixies souls anyway.
Actually,
Fry them up.
We were talking about some interesting things, like how you have to.
I got one here.
On the burning love? Like that's you.
Oh, I wanted it with a lettuce instead of a
Oh,
bun.
I can go there from the
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Anyway.
All right. Only food for you.
You have to be within 20 squares of it, and so we were imagining, like, if you're a noble, you send your domestic out into the field to harvest it, and the domestic just sits on the palanquin and has like 40 unseen servants harvesting the field and just slowly moves across the field.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a combine.
Yeah.
That was my fault. After I interrupted you and told you you didn't have what you wanted, I just forgot that you didn't ask.
Oh, that's fine. Thanks.
I don't know. Lettuce and buns are basically the same.
Sorry. Free.
Everything seems to be the same.
Yeah. That's the theme.
He's not very
And
good
this
at
is a cheeseburger with an egg, which is basically a royal without bacon.
Yeah, I don't think.
He's a blasphemer.
There you go.
I'm the only sane voice in this conversation.
This was just water?
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be interesting. I was talking about this. I read that some people did this study to like just as an interesting of like the impact of not just internal combustion engine, but the fact that we're burning through like all of our fossil fuel reserves in like 100 years, and just how it is. And they did this calculation of if we were Romans to live how we live, how many slaves would you need? And that's the benefit of like the fossil fuels are giving you. And their thing was the average person like us, North American, would it's like having 50 slaves. So having fossil fuels is like having 50 slaves.
Weird thing, the Romans almost invented steam engines, but it was actually more economical to just have slaves.
Also, the steam engine they came up with didn't really develop much torque, so couldn't really be used to drive things.
The interesting thing, actually, it is interesting just then to think like having the unseen servants and no slavery, it may actually lead to like technological innovation. Although it's also magical, so there's lots of stuff you can do with magic that you don't need technology for. But
Maybe this is the civilization that turns into the Space Lark campaign.
So imagine what we could produce with unseen servants and slavery. All the benefits. Anyway, getting back to the current day. After we got settled in and stuff, news came round. Hey, the Warforged are doing something weird. They're doing it everywhere. Everywhere in the world. Warforged are gathering into war camps outside all the major cities. sharpening up all their blades, getting their city destroying gear ready to go. And we're like, huh.
They're probably planning a conflict.
All of a sudden, the Warforged are going to destroy the world. And since we've basically been ignoring them the whole campaign, this is a very serious threat now. They've built up quite a bit of capability. Apparently they've been setting this all up in the background the whole time, and we've just been going Warforged. Which, you know, in fairness, based on what the information we had at the time, I think is still a reasonable prioritization.
Well, the way plot works is whatever you ignore becomes the final boss.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, of course, our characters don't know that.
Yeah.
And I still think that the time-traveling, shape-shifting nihilists were probably a bigger threat than the automatons seeking an optimal future.
Yeah. It's reasonable.
Yeah. So, first things first, there's a war camp outside the city that the Temple of Freedom is in. We really should figure out what the name of that city is. We've been referring to it like that for like 2 sessions now. So Cricket's stealth's in there, and while she's in there, I have like a 40 base stealth. It's crazy. So, I can just go anywhere. So I investigate the war camp, and I listen in on the Warforged talking about how it's kind of awesome they don't have to just stand around in the fields all the time anymore. They can actually do stuff. And then while I'm in there, I steal their communication stone and replace it with cheese. That I've used that talisman from the Brock to disguise as a communication stone. So I bring that back, and we investigate this thing. We use some what is it, read object or something, and we find out that a couple of days ago the orders came in from wherever the central command of these guys, the Obelisk, presumably, telling them to get in position, and that there was a countdown timer thing going on, and in a day and a half was go time. And they were presumably going to all over the world start killing. So we had a day and a half to save the world, which is actually more time than most of our save the world situations has been so far. But still, unsettling. So we confab about what to do, and we decide, well, Obelisk's got to go then, I suppose. We don't know where it is, but we have a certain set of skills. We will find it. And then we'll either have it order a withdrawal, or we'll destroy it and pretend to be it and order a withdrawal, or we'll steal its communication stone and order a withdrawal. You know, that sort of thing.
Options.
Yeah.
So John, at this point, how many of the Warforged are Cricket?
Are what?
How many of the Warforged are Cricket?
Cricket. Oh, not yet any of them.
In your timeline, yes.
We shall see. Hopefully, in this case, impersonating the Obelisk to give that order will simply mean, like, you know, speaking into a cup or something, rather than having to actually go back in time thousands of years and disguise myself as a big slab of rock forever.
Can unseen servants make noise?
They can bang stuff together.
There you go.
So anyway, we set off on a journey. Now, we can use time travel to help a little bit. We know the order was given 2 days ago, so we can go back 2 days and get a little bit of extra breathing room. The other thing, though, is we need to know where to go. And so, I can't remember, how do we figure that out? There was some scrying involved?
It was because Croesus took the stone and talked to the Obelisk.
Right.
Because he snuck off when he was on watch duty and talked to the Obelisk on the stone.
Croesus has a bone to pick with the Obelisk. the Obelisk is supposed to be like this ultimate authority on how the world should work. It's like the Oblin created it to interpret the law for them. And so last time Croesus talked with the Obelisk said, "Hey Croesus, after due consideration of what is optimal and all that, you should kill yourself. Like right now. Just do it. Kill yourself. Die." And so Croesus was a little bit broken up about that, though he declined its advice.
Yeah, he was calling it the fake obelisk or something.
Yeah. Obelisk. So he had another chat with it.
And the Oblin believed the obelisk was destroyed. When the mole people touched it, it broke. It shattered and broke. And then the Oblin all went home and gave up trying to get it back. Which is not what happened at all.
Yeah.
But in world building, they know that the obelisk actually got tired of doing all the war and wanted more information. So it reached out to these wizards called Undqua, who eventually built underground vaults, which I assume are the mole people. But so Croesus wanted to talk to it, and he asked it about a few things, and the obelisk re-suggested his suggestion that he kill himself. And when he wasn't going to take that suggestion, it suggested that he return to the Grey Wall because that's where he's needed most. Not on this.
Yeah.
Not with these
Don't stop
people.
Yeah. And then when Croesus didn't do that, the Obelisk was like, I think your friends are going to try and kill you. And it started to get more and more transparent.
I remember tried to.
I think it was Croesus, wasn't it?
I don't think it suggested try to kill you until another person to talk to you about it.
Oh, okay.
But Croesus talked to it more and tried to find out more about why it's doing what it's doing. And it was saying it's working towards an optimal future, and there's more to the optimal future than what the Oblin and the law have to say. And at that moment, Croesus threw down the stone and was like, "Oh, it's a deserter!" Which...
Yeah. Yep.
And he woke everyone up just saying,
"It's a deserter! It's a deserter! The Obelisk is a deserter!" So yeah.
Now, deserter is the term that the Oblin have for the Pan-Oblin, who are now extinct, but they saw that there was a higher law, natural law, and studying sciences and stuff was more important than the law of the Oblin. And they're the deserters.
It's sort of like a devout Christian discovering that God's a Buddhist. Incompatibility in how things should work.
Though he did figure out the solution, and that is the mole people really did break it. They didn't shatter it, they broke it. That's his...
Yeah. And so I just sort of rolled my eyes at how he's, finding any way possible to justify his already existing beliefs, and it's like, well, whatever. So,
We got fries coming for you guys.
now that we're talking with the Obelisk via the communication stone, Cricket decides to take a turn and pull out the Diplomancer charm and see if I can convince it to stop, or if failing that, trick it into giving me information useful for etc. Turns out that diplomacy stuff only really works awesomely when I'm an NPC. So, yeah. But still, I started talking with it, and I tried to sort of talk to it as a kindred spirit, because I'd spent a long time battling fate to try and make a more optimal future and all that kind of stuff. But man, it was just stubbornly set in its worldview. It was a complete fanatic. Ultimately, I had to tell everyone, it's like, yeah, you just can't talk with people like that because it's impossible. They are completely hidebound, and you can't argue them out of their position at all. So why even bother talking to them? But I guess I could just keep, because that's the other thing about these sorts of fanatics is they won't stop talking. So I offered a suggestion. I could just talk with it forever, and that would hopefully keep it distracted. But no, they're like, no, that would be a boring campaign. We should stop it. So I was like, all right. And then Hank wanted to turn, talking with the Obelisk.
It did try to convince Cricket that that Croesus would eventually kill her because you just can't.
See, the thing is, I already suspect that. This is nothing new. I'm concerned in the long term about both Croesus and the Oblin in general being the next major big threat to the Empire, because once the chasm is closed, they'll have nothing occupying their attention anymore.
Right.
And then they'll turn their attention outwards and see a world that doesn't obey their law.
Right.
And then we may have a war on our hands. So I'm kind of, I was trying to help close the world's wound, but I also didn't really want it closed because it keeps the Oblin busy. But eventually I think it probably will be, because Croesus is very, very powerful at this point. And he's got those magic waystones and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to have to deal with that eventually. But I'm not concerned about it right now.
They also Cricket managed to get out of the Obelisk information about what it's doing and how for a long time it has been trying to build this optimal future by slightly tweaking and refactoring reality. But when the magical apocalypse happened, it did not foresee that. And luckily the party saved it from being like having a stroke, so it couldn't talk anymore.
Right.
And it managed to survive the magical apocalypse, but it realized that there was a bug in its destiny prognostication engine. And so it went in there and it figured out the problem and fixed the bug, and it realized that its plans were never going to work. The only thing that was going to create the utopian future, it had to give up on refactoring. It was time for a rewrite. That's the only way. It's never going to become utopian without a rewrite. And it now could see this, and so that was its.
It realized his DPE was actually a derp.
Good. Kill everyone. Start over.
And it told Cricket that the party was a particularly thorny problem, but the party was in fact deprecated, and it would be deleted. Sometimes deprecated things stay around longer than they should, but they always eventually get deleted.
So annoying. He's using all these programmers things. Anyway. So, we figured out where the obelisk was probably located. There's a field of stumps out in the middle of the desert, and it's there somewhere. So we head out there, both in space and in time, going back a few days. And we arrive in the desert. We're going to start combing the desert to try and find the obelisk. But we have... everything goes pixely for a moment. Random encounter! It probably wasn't random. I'm sure that it was waiting for us. It's a sandworm. Huge, gargantuan sandworm. Comes, pokes its head out of the sand, goes like that. And we're like, this is bad. This thing's huge. And John's talking about how it has this aura of thunder damage it's always doing, and it's got this.
It's got this weird thing that sounds like a cross between a whale song and some kind of rumbling it's making all the time, and it hurts you.
Yeah. And it's got. We did some knowledge checks on it. It's got a swallow attack that's an area attack, so it can swallow everyone in this area.
Right.
And we're like, okay, this is pretty freaking.
That looks scary.
Thing pops up. Fortunately, Aram Ben Jarrad is literally a desert druid, so thanks to his, awareness and everything, it didn't get a surprise round. In fact, did we get a surprise round?
You guys got a surprise round because
of Jarrad. And so
he also knew that it was a female. Those are much, much bigger, and they tend to travel in small packs.
But even just one was scary.
There's no stories of anyone ever surviving an encounter with a female sandworm.
Yeah. let alone defeating one. So we decided we'd better pull out all the stops.
And defeat it.
Yeah, and so I threw down like 2 dailies up front. I put it to sleep, and I did Satire of Prowess, which made it super easy to hit.
You mocked the giant female sandworm. Oh yeah, you're so scared.
Actually, I said snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
They come to no one.
Yeah. So
10 stories tall. I've seen bigger.
It's really just a sandy foreskin.
try ruling an empire, why don't you? So I threw those down, and some other people did some stuff, and then Hank did this. Like, I'm gonna ride it. He jumped on top of the sleeping sandworm, and did like his best attack, and he threw all sorts of bonuses that we gave him onto it, and got a crit, of course, and did all his extra rolls, and
Critted on the extra rolls.
And which gave him some extra attacks, and he used those, and he critted on those. Yeah, in total, his attack was, what was it, 500 hit points?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He one-shotted it. He just came crashing down with a sword, and it like exploded in a shockwave in both directions.
And then it got a turn. No, it was dead at that point. But however, at that point, we do some more knowledge rolls, and we realize, oh, it's a level 29 elite. It's not even a solo. But,
There's more where this came from.
Yeah.
Then they know there's more coming.
There's more coming.
But with Gerard, it was the end of the session, so we're like, I'm going to say next session, one's appearing here, here, and here, and you can be wherever you want, because
we have time to react.
You have time to be ready.
But unfortunately, I blew a couple dailies on the thing, because I was thinking it's like this giganto solo thing.
Yep.
But really, it's an elite. It's still, it was still nasty. But now we're going to fight 3 of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
After you kill those 3, you'll fight 5. It's like waves in Dragon Age 2.
They're not falling from the sky.
They're coming from underground.
They're spawning from nowhere.
Yeah.
Like scars.
I actually, we now have all these permanent unseen servants. Hank wanted as many of them as he could possibly carry. I don't know why, but he was like, man, I want all of those and more. And so I suggested.
I mean, he could basically fly.
Well, they have the same. They have the move of the person who's controlling them. So unless the person controlling them can fly, they can't fly.
Oh, okay.
I also told Brian no flying, because he was like that. He's like, yeah, once they can lift my body weight, I can fly. No.
I think it makes sense that my interpretation that they have the move type of the people.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because if a Brock had one, then his unseen servant should be able to fly one.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
But they're not a fragment of the soul of the user that's been ripped out of their body.
No, they're a fragment of one specific rock. Please stop this.
Okay, so we've narrowed the torment down to just one person now.
Yeah.
So that's still a bonus.
If Hank throws his ceramic hands into the sandworm, then they have burrow speed. They can burrow.
But the sandworm is the one that is controlling them now. So. But yeah, I was going to have.
But the burrow speeds, they can grab turnovers and drag them underground.
I figured the sandworms probably had tremor sense, so all my invisibility stuff was useless. But I was going to have all my invisible unseen servants start pounding the sand in various places all over the place.
To be distracting.
Yeah, the sandworm died really quickly, so I didn't get to implement that. But now that there's 3 coming, I think I'll probably do that. I'll have my unseen servants pounding sand. If I give my familiar one of these, she has a fly speed. And so that's where things currently stand. Sandworms. Bunch of sandworms coming.
Right.
I told my unseen servants to pound sand.
Really hasn't been that much that happened.
Yeah, they've missed a number of sessions.
Yeah, we had like a number of hiatuses, like
There were 2 recently.
And then I was really.
Yeah, and sometimes there's these combat stats can take much longer to do than to describe. So that also sort of compresses things a little bit. In the case of the sandworm, not really.
Splort.
Yeah, we really annihilated that thing.
So that's your last two fights. It's basically just been like a water balloon filled with ground beef.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, void creatures.
Well,
look, sandworm.
In the void creature case, it was a little bit scarier because there was all the squishy NPCs around that were even more water balloony that we needed to protect, and we succeeded at that.
They say these sandworms are supposed to be like really deadly and impossible to kill. Apparently nobody's killed them. I don't know what they're talking about. These things are easy. I mean, maybe it's because I'm like ridiculously strong and powerful. But I did kind of one-shot it, so I think we're good. Yeah. Let's kill the rest of them.
Hank, I think, is being a bit overconfident. Female sandworms always travel in groups, clusters. I have never seen them up so close before, though. I've only seen them from the distant dunes, coming up to, like, kills. Oh, it's amazing. They are huge.
I still got closer than you did.
Yeah, well, I have a plan for the next one that comes. Next time I get to hit first, okay? This is amazing. Do you have any idea how much their teeth are worth? If we could follow them and find the eggs.
We can take all of them.
The eggs. Oh, this is so great. Hank, I love showing you my home.
So, this is an interesting diversion, but I think Venturot has forgotten why we're in the desert. He keeps muttering about the prices of sandworm teeth in Zarib, coins, whatever they are, I forget. Yeah, he's forgotten our mission.
Amazing. Amazing. Hank just plunged from the sky and blew right through that thing. One-shotted a creature that's never been killed in recorded history. They may have never owned me, but it is amazing and wonderful that they are my allies.
You know, I think Dastria might be cooler than Hank.
By the way, that obelisk, if it is the real obelisk, which it might be, but it's broken or stupid, it's stupid. And it's a jerk. And I had a really fun time annoying it. And I can't wait to go and, I mean, it might be a good idea to fix it. But I would really like to smash it. Although, it might be better to let Croesus smash it. I think he'd like that. Well, we'll see what happens.
The obelisk's a deserter. I can't believe it. The obelisk's a deserter.